Hello, Dastale. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to Dharma sharing. We're trying to understand the words of wisdom from Lord Gampopa from the book Jewel Animal Liberation. And we're trying to understand more on the 6 parameters and especially the 6th one, the wisdom awareness or the wisdom chapter, Prashna Paramita. So we'll continue where we stopped last time, and before doing so, let us to the rapid periods and generations of Bodhicitta. Sangye Jodan Zoge Jonam La Janjo Bardo Dani Gyap Sonje Dagi Jin Soge Be Sonam Ge Dola Benje Sangye Dobare Sho Sangye Jodan Zoge Jonam La Janjo Bardo Dani Gyap Sonje Dagi Jin Soge Be Sonam Ge Dola Benje Sangye Dobare Sho Sangye Jodan Zoge Jonam La Janjo Bardo Dani Gyap Sonje Dagi Jin Soge Be Sonam Ge Dola Benje Sangye Dobare Sho Semchen Tamche Dewa Dan Dewe Gyodan Dembare Gyoche Dunga Dan Dunga Ge Gyodan Dawa Gyoche Dunga Meben Dewa Damba Nam Dawa Gyoche Ngeren Jadan Gyodan Daren Danyam Chembola Neba Gyoren Che Semchen Tamche Dewa Dan Dewe Gyodan Dembare Gyoche Dunga Dan Dunga Ge Gyodan Dawa Dunga Meben Dewa Damba Dame Dawa Gyoche Ngeren Jadan Gyodan Daren Danyam Chembola Neba Gyoren Che Semchen Tamche Dewa Dan Dewe Gyodan Dembare Gyoche Dunga Dan Dunga Ge Gyodan Dawa Gyoche Dunga Meben Dewa Damba Dame Dawa Gyoche Ngeren Jadan Gyodan Daren Danyam Chembola Neba Gyoren Che Balden Zare Lama Rinpo Che Taiki Churu Peme De Shola Kajin Chempe Gwane Je Son Den Gu Son To Ge Ngu Tu Zan Do So. Okay, so first of all, as being Buddhist practitioners, it is always advisable, logical, to examine one's own motivation and before we do any kind of Dharma practice. So here today at the same time, since we are listening, trying to understand, trying to gain the wisdom awareness of the true nature of all the phenomena. So it is extremely important to examine our motivation, to think that what we are doing this, why we are doing this, and what is the purpose of our practice, or are trying to understand this wisdom. Definitely, it is for the benefit of all sentient beings, and that is what motivation that we give arise to at the very beginning when we give rise to bodhicitta, especially the aspiration bodhicitta. We kind of dedicated our self for the well-being and benefit of sentient beings, and for that very purpose, we have two objectives. First one is to benefit sentient beings, and in order to benefit sentient beings fully, completely, with full ability, we need to attain Buddhahood. Otherwise, our service to sentient beings will be very limited. So, in order to perfectly and completely benefit sentient beings, completely bring them into the complete Buddhahood, completely liberate them from the suffering of samsara, we as a guide, we need to attain some kind of quality. Otherwise, we and our sentient beings, there won't be any differences. And one who is under the overpowered by negative addictions and emotions cannot and will not be able to liberate others from the same defilements. So therefore, in order to liberate sentient beings from suffering of samsara, one as a liberator should have some kind of quality, so should have some kind of realization, and that very purpose of benefiting sentient beings, we are now trying to listen to the Dharma, contemplate the meaning of the Dharma, and bring them into your practice, day-to-day practice, and thereby meditating, you'll be able to what you call achieve realization. There are many different types of realizations, as we know. And the complete and full realization would be awareness, wisdom awareness of all phenomena, not just knowing the relative knowledge, having relative knowledge, but it should go beyond that. We should have the ability to see the true nature of all phenomena. That is what is the definitions of wisdom awareness, complete and perfectly discriminating of all phenomena, not only limited phenomena, but all phenomena, everything, inclusive of every phenomena. So therefore, we are trying to understand this wisdom awareness. Okay. So to present this chapter, the chapter which is labeled as the perfections of wisdom awareness, Gampopa set 7 different points to understand truly this chapter. And the first, if you recall, the first one is reflections on the faults and virtues. If you have wisdom awareness, what is the advantages of it? And if you are lacking the wisdom awareness, what are the disadvantages or the faults of not having this realization? That's the one point that he has tried to tell us or present this wisdom awareness. Second, obviously, definition. We should understand what is wisdom awareness before we do anything further. So, again, the definitions of wisdom awareness is completely and perfectly seeing the true nature of all phenomena or the discriminations of all phenomena. Why Gampopa is saying here full and complete and perfect discriminations of all phenomena, that will show us that there are some realizations which are lacking complete and full awareness of wisdom awareness. Or in other words, there are some wisdom awareness which is not complete and fully awaiting or not discriminating all phenomena. If you remember, in the classifications of wisdom awareness, Gampopa did mention that there are 3 types of. The first, obviously, is the wisdom awareness of mundane level, relative knowledges, and obviously, then the next one is the super mundane wisdom awareness, and there again 2 types of lesser super mundane and greater super mundane. So lesser super mundane wisdom awareness is the wisdom awareness that is little limited. It's only seeing the what you call nature of self, but not all phenomena. In other words, seeing the emptiness nature, the impermanence nature and the suffering nature of our aggregates, so to speak. So we should go beyond this, not only seeing the impermanence nature, suffering nature of our aggregates, our body, our feelings, our sensation, perceptions, mind, and so forth. But not only that, going beyond having vast wisdom awareness of seeing all the phenomena as unborn, as emptiness nature. So this is what our target should be. Okay, so this is the exactly definitions of wisdom awareness. Then thirdly, obviously, classifications of wisdom awareness that I just mentioned earlier. 3 types of wisdom awareness that Gampopa mentions here. Then characteristic of each of those classifications. And then 5th one is what is to be known or what is to be studied. Among these 3 different classifications, what is it to study for us as being the follower of Mahayana practitioners? Obviously, the answer would be the 3rd one. We should understand or study the wisdom awareness, the 3rd type of wisdom awareness, which is labeled as the supermundane, greater supermundane wisdom awareness. So this is what we should be knowing or studying. And obviously, what is to be practiced then? After knowing, after having view, then we have to implement that view. Just having literal understanding, literal view of emptiness is not enough. It will not bring you to anywhere. It is only. It will be only meaningful or fruitful when you really implement this wisdom awareness. When you really put them into practice, meditate on the meaning of wisdom awareness, and then get realizations of that wisdom awareness. At least certain level of realization is very required. Otherwise, you will be just having view and having just empty view, empty speech, teaching wisdom awareness, but not knowing, not having any kind of realizations of wisdom awareness, and that will not be helpful. That will not be helpful for oneself and for others. So we need to practice this. And finally, what the result will be when you really put them into practice, when you really meditate on the true nature of phenomena, what kind of realization will you be able to witness? So that's the result here. So these 7 topics actually, comprises the whole meaning, whole understandings of the progressions of wisdom awareness. So among these 7 topics, we're now at the 5th topic: what is to be known, or what is to be studied. So obviously, the third wisdom awareness that we need to focus on, the greater supermundane wisdom awareness. In order to do so, there are also some steps which will lead us to the realizations of greater supermundane wisdom awareness. And for that reason, Gampopa again mentions 6 different topics to really understand the greater supermundane wisdom awareness. The first one, A, the reputations of grasping things as being things as being existence. B, reputations of grasping things as being non-existence. C, the fallacy of grasping non-existence. D, the fallacy of both graspings. E, the path that leads to liberation. And finally, F, nirvana, the nature of liberation. So these 6 topics, we should study these 6 topics. Thereby we'll be able to realize, at least have some kind of view, what is known as the greater supermundane wisdom awareness. And the first one, reputation of grasping things as being existence. So because of our limited knowledge or overpowered by ignorance, we think that things really exist as they appear in front of us. Therefore, we pay so much attention, for external phenomena like form, sound, smell, taste, and texture. And we think whatever appears in front of us, these different things, we really think they do really exist. They do have really big value. So therefore, we, from the beginningless until up to now, we are grasping things. We are taking them as something really solid existence, and so therefore we grasp them, and then because of that we have attachment towards them. And since we have so much attachment towards external phenomena, and obviously if something goes wrong, if someone disturbs or makes some obstacles on your that attachment, obviously you get angry. Anger, you give rise to anger, hatred, envy, jealousy, and so forth. And because of this, every kind of non-harmonious balance of your emotion and disappointments, everything will give arise from that. Then you will create that karma by hurting others, by yelling others, by using harsh words, by having ill thoughts in your mind, and obviously slowly you display all this through your body, stealing, killing, fighting, hurting others, and so forth. And this will the beginning of the creations of what you call non-virtuous act. And obviously because of that kind of creations of karma, definitely will slowly, eventually experience the suffering as a result of that creations of karma. So therefore, now since we are trying to understand wisdom awareness, here Gampopa says that things they appear does not exist as inherent existence, or things that they appear in front of us does not hold kind of permanent self-entity, inherent self-entity. So therefore, we should understand this. If we have not realized it before, at least we should have some kind of understanding of things as non-existent nature. So therefore, he focuses on this first point here. Then second one, we have completed the first point. Today we are on the second point. So relatively, as lay people, we think, oh, if things do not exist, then they may be non-existent. Second thought eventually will come. And here, Gampopa says, oh, that's also not true. If you have attachment to those things, believing that things do not really exist, they are non-existent, then again you're stuck in one extreme. So therefore, as the point goes, he says here, the reputations of grasping things as being non-existent. So if someone holds things are non-existent, if someone's really believe and have strong feeling and attachment in their belief, thinking that things do not exist, things are non-existent, and that is another obstacle in your liberation. So if you want to liberate yourself from the suffering of samsara, you should be free from these both extremes, believing in things as existence and believing things as non-existence. You should try leaving these two extremes away, and you should go beyond knowing the true nature, not stopping in either side, but staying in the neutral middle way and trying to investigate. If people say things exist, you examine, you put all your effort, wisdom, and study, knowledge, and investigate whether they really exist or not. And if some people says, oh, things do not exist, they are non-existent, then again, don't fall on that extremes either. Remain neutral, be in the middle, open-minded, and investigate whether this is true or not. Okay, so this is how we should study the wisdom awareness, the idea of wisdom awareness at least. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the second point and followed by the different points. Second, reputations of grasping things as being non-existence. Since the two selves do not exist in any form of existing things, it might be said that they are therefore non-existent. As I mentioned earlier, as being lay people, we definitely think, oh, if things do not exist, then they are non-existent. So we always usually automatically, normally we think like that way. And however, Gampopa says they are not non-existent either. How is that then? Because the two selves, remember the two selves, self of person and self of phenomena. These two selves makes phenomena. All the phenomena can be categorized into these two selves, self of person and self of phenomena. So because the true self or the mind could not be said to be non-existent, could only be said to be non-existent if they had previously existed and then later ceased to exist. This is logic. You cannot say things are non-existent. You could only say things are non-existent if they exist in the past. Then only you can say they do not exist now. But it's not that case. Middle way approach is not believing that things had earlier existed, and middle way approach of logic has breaking them down or hammered them down and make them non-existent. This is not the idea at all of the middle way approach. Our middle way approach, the Madhyamika, is just investigating whether things exist or do not exist. We're not making things existence into non-existence or non-existence to existence. We're not doing that at all. So therefore it says here, because the two selves or the mind could only be said to be non-existence if they had previously existed and then later ceased to exist. So things are not non-existent. Why? Because they did not exist earlier. You can only call non-existent if they exist earlier, relatively. But you cannot call them, since now you cannot call them non-existent because they had never existed at the first place. This is the investigation results that Madhyamika or the middle way approach has found or proclaimed at least. Yet since phenomena, which are called these two selves or mind, have from the very beginning had no inherent existence. That's the reality checking. That's the reality checking that Madhyamika approach has found. They did not exist at the very first place with their investigation approach. During the process of their investigation, they have not found anything else, anything singular, permanent, inherent existence at the very beginning. So how can you say that they exist? Existence and non-existence can be only called if things exist earlier and then become non-existent later. Then only you can call things are non-existent. But here, this is not the case. They are beyond extremes of existence and non-existence. As Sarah says, grasping existence is like cattle. Grasping non-existence is even more stupid. So, from the 6 realms, we consider animal realms as a suffering of stupidity. They have the suffering of stupidity, and they are ignorant. We also sometimes say during the recitations of Mani Mantra, the suffering of animal realm is through ignorance or through not knowing what is good and what is bad. So likewise here, the same example has given. If someone grasping in existence is like cattle, and on the other hand, grasping non-existence is even more stupid than the cattle. So obviously, grasping in non-existence is more fallacy than the grasping of existence. So in any case, the Madhyamika approach is free from those 2 extremes of existence belief and extremes of non-existence beliefs. When they did the reality checking, the fact checking by their investigations analogy, they have never found something that really exists at the first place. So this is free from both existence and non-existence nature of phenomena. The Gondulanga Sutra says, outer things do not exist nor not exist. Mind also is completely without fixation. Having abandoned all views is the characteristics of non-arising. So here, characteristic of non-arising should also be understood as the characteristics of emptiness nature. The characteristics of emptiness nature is outer things do not exist nor not exist. Anything that is that appears in front of us, they do not hold existence nature, and they also do not hold non-existent nature. They are completely without fixation when you check, when you analyze or investigate their nature. And having abandoned all views of existence and non-existence is the characteristics of emptiness nature. Also, the precious Jewish guardian says, when existence cannot be found, then where is their non-existence? You can only call non-existence if you have found earlier something exists. Then only you can call later on non-existence. But if we have not found something existence at the very beginning, then we cannot find any non-existence nature either. So therefore, if someone holds the idea of things as being non-existent, then there's the shortcoming of realization. So we should be free from the both extremes, of things as existence and things as non-existence nature. They are beyond 2 extremes. Therefore, it's labeled as the middle way approach. Just not abiding in any kind of extremes, any sides, not holding any side, not abiding in any side, but remaining in neutral, remaining in middle, and doing the reality checking, reality investigations of phenomena of self. The 2 selves actually, the self of person and self phenomena. So this is how it should be done in order to free from both extremes beliefs. Then the third point, explanations of the thought, and that's the fallacy of grasping non-existence. So earlier we have repeated the idea of both existence things and non-existence things, right? And now we're talking about what is the fallacy, what is wrong if we hold the view of non-existence. Then here it says, in this case, if the graspings of objects as being existence is the root of samsara, then won't one be liberated from samsara if one believes in non-existence? Obviously, as a layman, we obviously think this way. Relatively, we obviously think this way, right? If you say, okay, if you have kind of wisdom awareness, seeing or believing that grasping things as being existence is the root of samsara, and then if you have a grasping in non-existence, then are you liberated? So this is generally how we think. Then, according to Madhyamika, it says, no, you're not. You'll not be liberated if you believe in non-existence. Why? Because still you are holding a view. Still you are stuck in one extremes. So in order to liberate it from the suffering of samsara, in order to liberate it from this nature of suffering, you need to be free from the cause of suffering. And if you hold any kind of grasping attachment, then you are not free from the cause of suffering of samsara. You're still holding a cause. You're still having a cause that leads you, that will kind of hold you back in the suffering of samsara, because you're not free from attachment here. Attachment in non-existence, in other words. So therefore, Gampopa says here, no, this later view, that is the view of non-existence, grasping in non-existence, this later view is even greater fallacy than the former one, as it explains earlier. Again, repetitions of that same quote. Grasping existence is like cattle. Grasping non-existence is even more stupid. So same quote to recall us. And then the Heap of Jewels Sutra says, Kashyapa, it is better to abide with the view of self-existence of person, even as huge as a mountain, than it is to assume the view of emptiness or non-existence. So if you compare which has more fallacy, which is more what you call wrong or stronger kind of error, we should say earlier, if you think that things to exist, that is even better than thinking things do not exist. If you compare, if you want to have comparison, but for the middle way approach, we need to free from both extremes. But from relatively speaking, from the layperson point of view, if you compare these two, which is better, which is more have more error, then Gampopa says the holding the first idea of things as existence is better than having the thought of non-existence. Thank you. Okay. Also, it says, through the fault of holding the view of emptiness, those the lesser mental ability are harmed. So again, I remember when we are studying Mijole and the Shetra, our teacher, instructor, Khenpo, they always remind us that it is good to have the idea of, emptiness nature, impermanence nature, non-existence nature of things and phenomena. But if you do not know the idea why it is called emptiness, then if you have false understanding of emptiness, then you will be in danger. Then you will think, oh, nothing exists, you can do anything, no karma, creations, not believing in what you call accumulations of merits, good karma, and so forth. So that's even danger. So when middle way approach, when the teachings of middle way says everything is emptiness, that does not mean that everything is nothing. Emptiness is not nothingness. Emptiness, related taking emptiness is not nothingness, not nihilism. It is, the unity. Actually, it is the unity of appearances and its inherent non-existence or emptiness nature. how we investigate, how we say things are emptiness, it does not make, it doesn't mean that we're making things to disappear. We're not making things to non-existent nature. What we're trying to do is we're trying to look at the appearances that are actually disturbing us, that are the source of giving rise, or that are the object of giving rise to our attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth. So when we investigate them, how we investigate is through our meditation, trying to see whether things really exist as they appear in front of us. And then our finding through the meditation's approach is that they do not exist as inherent nature, but they appear because of cosmic conditions. So we are not trying to block the appearances. Appearances can evenly, naturally, freely appear in front of us because of cosmic conditions. But while they appear, our knowledge of wisdom awareness is seeing their nature as non-existence, impermanence nature. Obviously, they appear in front of us, but they do not hold inherent nature. So if you have that kind of wisdom awareness, then you will not hold them back. You will not grasp them. You will not have attachment towards them. Then if things goes well, you're okay. If things do not go well, you are still fine. Because you have this wisdom awareness of seeing, at least, realizing that things do not appear, to exist as they appear. Things are impermanent, they are not permanent. Things are not, permanent. Things are not existent nature. They appear because of many causes and conditions. So thereby you are not overpowered. You are not taken or driven away by the appearances. But as for now, we are lacking of that reality checking, that analyzing of things as impermanence or emptiness nature. Therefore, we are drawn away. We are taken away by these appearances. We are taken away by these beautiful forms, sounds, smell, taste, and texture. Therefore, we could not control our mind. We are not able to maintain in one point in concentration. We're driven away by many different negative emotions, many different negative afflictions and emotions. And because of that, we could not control our mind. And because of that, we are taken away, overpowered by these defilements. And then we create karma. Obviously, because of that, creations of karma will be able to witness the suffering as nature of that consequences. So this is how we are trying to investigate without holding any kind of extremes, but just remaining in neutral, middle, and investigate things. Madhyamika, the holder of view of Madhyamika, do not have any kind of standpoint, do not have any kind of fixation thought, so to speak. They're very freely remaining in neutral, freely investigating things. This is how the middle way approach is. The fundamental treatise on the middle way also says that it has been said that it is not possible to cure those who hold the view of emptiness. Here again, emptiness meaning nihilism, nothingness, not understanding the real meaning of emptiness. So for those people, it cannot be cured. So that is why it is said, it will be unfortunate if you do not know the real meaning of emptiness, or if you have holding faulty view of emptiness, then it is quite unfortunate. So therefore, we should have this kind of knowledge as well. When you study emptiness nature of the things, of phenomena, you should really have the true understanding of emptiness nature, true understandings of the emptiness view. Why are they incurable? For example, if a sick man is given a purgative when the sickness and the medicines have both been eliminated, the patient is cured. This is the process. However, if the illness has been purged, but the medicine remains undigested, so there's the problem. The patient will be incurable and will die, unfortunately. Likewise, the view of existence can be dispelled by meditation on emptiness. But by viewing emptiness and attachment to that emptiness or nihilism, then the owner of emptiness, the faulty owner of emptiness, the owner of emptiness who is having the faulty understanding of emptiness will come to nothing and will face for the lower realm. So this is the thing where we need to be careful, understandings of emptiness. We need to have more wisdom on the understandings of emptiness nature. Otherwise, we will end up on thinking it is nothing exists whatsoever, or you will think that as I mentioned earlier, no virtues, no karma, nothing. You end up in nothingness, and this is not the wisdom that Buddha has taught us. By having the emptiness knowledge is actually meant for kind of perfection, kind of perfectly realizations and perfectly liberated from the suffering of samsara. So if you do not have the true knowledge, if you do not have true guidance on the emptiness nature of phenomena, then you end up in the nothingness, and that is not what is meant to be, said by Buddha. So therefore, we should not fall on the faulty understandings of emptiness, thinking nothing exists whatsoever, and then you can do whatever you want. No cause and conditions, no karma, no creations of merits, no non-virtues, nothingness, and that will be unfortunate. So we should, when we study Madhyamika or wisdom awareness, we should have all the ideas, the perfect and complete ideas of analyzing things, how to approach middle way. The believers in existence migrates to happiness realm, while one believing in non-existence migrates to lower realms. So again, comparison, in relative also in comparison, if you believe in existence, things are existence, is little better than believing in things are non-existence. Okay, so if you like those school of thoughts, non-Buddhist school of thoughts, they hold, everything. They hold, like for example, the self of person to really exist. They value it, they practice, and they kind of get some kind of realizations or the God realms. They, as a result of that practice, meditating on that, they have witnesses being born as a God realm and so forth. But if someone who believes in non-existence and doing whatsoever, and not believing in karma, cause and conditions, and doing whatsoever, doing whatever they like, that's the dangerous to be being found in lower realms. So this is what is mentioned here. Compared to the former, the latter is greater fallacy. Living in non-existence is greater fallacy. Okay, and for the next point, the D is the explanations on the fourth. That's the fallacy of both graspings. So middle approach says both grasping, either is grasping on things as existent nature or things as non-existent nature. The holding of these two attachment, both are fallacy, both are error, both are mistaken. In reality, grasping existence and non-existence are fallacies because they fall into two extremes of eternalism and nihilism. So we should be free from these two extremes of eternalism and nihilism. The fundamental treatise on the middle way says, Believing in existence is the view of eternalism. Believing in non-existence is the view of nihilism. To fall into the extremes of eternalism and nihilism is ignorant. So we need to be free from this ignorant. Otherwise, if you hold either of these two beliefs, then you will be stuck in the suffering of samsara. The ignorant will not liberate from suffering of samsara. If you hold this view of things as existent or things as non-existence, then you are stuck in samsara. In middle way approach, it should be beyond these two extremes, not believing in these both extremes of eternalism and nihilism. The precious jewel Garley also says, grasping the world which is like mirage, saying it exists or does not exist is ignorant. One will not be liberated when one has ignorance. So this is the actually root cause of suffering of samsara. Because we are not free from this ignorance. Either we are stuck in believing things as existence or believing things as non-existence. And because of that, we are stuck in the suffering of samsara. So in order to liberate ourselves from this suffering of samsara, we need to be free from these two extremes of eternalism and nihilism. Buddha's wisdom is actually try to dispel this both ignorance. Obviously, generally, as far as we are concerned, as ordinary being, we are on the first part, thinking, believing things as existence. Therefore, we spend so much time, money, energy, in order to achieve this external phenomena, in order to achieve good form, good shape, good sound, good smell, good taste, good texture. And because of that, because of believing that they are existence, so we are engaged in order to make those things happen, in order to bring those things into your life, in order to make them as permanent. In reality checking, in actual reality, they are not. They are impermanent nature, they are suffering of change, and they do not hold any kind of inherent existence either. So since we are lacking this wisdom, we are still ignorant. And with that ignorant, we fall in samsara. So now what we need to do is, by understanding, by having some kind of thoughts of wisdom awareness here, at least a view of trying to understand and investigate whether things do really exist as they appear, whether external phenomena like form, sound, smell, text, and texture, do they really hold any kind of inherent nature, inherent existence, permanent inherent existence or not. So it is now our homework to investigate those things, not only believing that it is said by Buddha or my guru or my teacher, but really sitting down in a meditation posture, if possible, investigating truly with your concentration, one-pointed concentration, and investigating whether things they appear in front of you to really hold inherent existence or not. And then only you'll be able to find some kind of solution there. You'll be able to find some kind of realization there. You will not gain realizations of emptiness just by reading books, just by listening to the teachings, just by contemplating its meaning. But what we need to do is, we need to really focus, meditate upon this nature things, whether they really exist or do not exist. Then only you'll be able to realize wisdom awareness. Wisdom awareness cannot be given from one person to another, just like giving external phenomena, helping hand. It's not that way. It will only be possible to have that wisdom awareness by meditating, by sitting, by investigating the true nature of phenomena. Then only it will be possible for us to gain that realization. So it is us, it is you who need to investigate, who need to meditate, and who need to look and try to gain the direct experience of these teachings. Just not quoting the beautiful words from the Buddha or Bodhisattvas or the teachers, but we need to realize ourselves through investigation, through analyzing things, whether they are to exist or do not exist, or whatever, however it is possible, through your meditation concentration. Thereby only you'll be able to realize the true nature of phenomena, the wisdom awareness, perfect wisdom awareness. Now the fifth point is the path that leads to liberation. Then by what is one liberated? One will be liberated by the path that does not abide in these two extremes. So if you do not hold in any kind of extreme thoughts here, if you do not hold the idea or attachment towards things as existence, if you do not hold or attach to that things do not exist, if you're free from these two extremes of hedonism and nihilism, then you will be liberated. And this is the path that leads us to liberation. As the precious jewel garden says, fully realizing in the perfect way will liberate by non-abiding into extremes. So here he mentions perfect way. What is perfect way? Perfect way is realizing that all phenomena are non-arising from the very beginningless. They do not hold any kind of inherent existence. It's not that they did exist and then later on our meditation hammer them, break them, and they disappear. It's not like that either. So therefore, when you see the perfect nature of phenomena as it is, then you will be liberated. It's quite easy actually. You do not need to do anything. You do not need to make them non-existence. You do not need to make them existence. You just look at the nature of those phenomena, and then naturally you will be liberated. As easy as it sounds, actually, in fact. But for that, you need to have a very good, strong meditative concentration. Otherwise, it is not possible. If you have very good meditative concentration, then this is how it is, as simple as it is. You're not making anything into existence, or you're not making anything into non-existence. You're just trying to look at the nature of phenomena, and that's it. So when you look at the nature of phenomena, then you're liberated actually. You're not again trying to make things as existence or non-existence. You just sit and look at your nature of your mind. Look at the nature of phenomena. Then liberation is just there, without holding any kind of sides, without holding any kind of extremes. You'll be liberated naturally. As some instruction also says that there's nothing to be added in the nature of phenomena, nature of mind. There is nothing needed to subtract from that nature of phenomena. If you see the truth as the truth, then you will be liberated from the suffering of samsara. Actually, it's very simple. But if you do not have kind of meditative concentration, then it is very hard, because you're distracted, you're agitated, your mind is not focused. You are always overtaken or overpowered by our negative affections and emotions, our thoughts of past, our thoughts of future. You have never lived actually in present. because we have no control over our mind. We think we have control over our mind, but actually we not. And how can we check this? It's just if you have control over your mind, then just try to concentrate for some time, at least 1 minute. And when you try to concentrate 1 minute, even that 1 minute, you are not focused. You're distracted. Your body is here, but your mind is distracted, either past thoughts or the future thoughts. So therefore, we think we have control over our mind, but we are actually not. And that is the lacking point here. We need to have at least a control over our mind. How to bring control over our mind is only possible through the meditative concentration, the fifth paramita. That is why as I mentioned earlier, the 5 paramitas are meant to be realizing the 6th paramita. They are the basic, they are the foundation to make the 6th paramita possible. So, and especially the 5th paramita, meditative concentration, is very important. If you do not have meditative concentration, then it is very obvious that you are distracted. And once you're distracted, you cannot analyze, you cannot investigate the nature of our mind, nature of phenomena. And if you are not able to investigate the nature of your mind or nature of phenomena, then there's no possibility of attaining, of realizing the wisdom awareness. So, how it relates, part 5th and 6th paramita. Therefore, not relying on the two extremes is liberation. The fundamental treatise of middle way also says, for that reason, the wise one does not abide in either existence or non-existence. If one wonders what is middle, what the middle is, what is the middle way, which avoids the two extremes. The Heap of Jewels Sutra says, Kashyapa, if you ask what the proper way for Bodhisattva to apply Dharma is, and the answer is, it is this way. It is the middle path to perfectly examine each and every phenomena, not having any kind of sight, not holding any kind of extremes, remaining in neutral, being a free-minded, and then investigate, as independent practitioner, independent investigator. Kashyapa, if you ask what is the middle path, these examinations of each and every phenomena, applying yourself as well in the same way. When you investigate, you should investigate all phenomena, not having a kind of sighted or limited phenomena. You should investigate self of person as well as self of phenomena, remaining in neutral and investigating their nature, their true nature. Kashyapa, permanence is one extreme, impermanence is another extreme. That which is called the middle between the two extremes cannot be investigated, cannot be shown, it does not appear, it is imperceptible. Kashyapa, that which is known as middle path is the perfect and individual examinations of each and every phenomena. Kashyapa again, that which is called self is one extreme, and that which is called selfless is another extreme. Likewise, Kashyapa, that which is called samsara is one extreme, and nirvana is another extreme. That which is called the middle between the two extremes cannot be investigated, it cannot be shown, it cannot appear, it does not appear, it is imperceptible. Kashyapa, that which is known as the middle path is the perfect and individual examinations of each and every phenomena. So that is what middle stands for. Without holding any kind of self or selflessness idea, without holding or grasping anything existence or non-existence, free from these two extremes. Also, Usually as a layman thinking, we think that samsara is something bad, something that needs to be abandoned, and nirvana is something good that one must achieve. But in the middle way approach, if we have these two grasping, these two perceptions, these two conceptual, then you're again stuck in the suffering of samsara. So we as a middle way approach practice training in middle way, should be free from any kind of sides, any kind of extremes whatsoever, including samsara and nirvana. Having thought of samsara is something bad is another extreme, and having thought or belief or attachment towards nirvana that something is very good, something is very virtuous, is another extreme. So Kashyapa, you should be free from these both extremes and remain in middle and investigate. While you remain in middle, in neutral and investigate, you will not find anything that really exists. It is imperceptible. So therefore, Shantideva also said, the mind is not within or without, and neither can it be found in another place. It is not mixed with anything, nor is it apart, because this mind is not the slightest thing at all. This mind is not the slightest thing at all. If this mind is a thing, then it should have its sides, parts, 4 directions, up, down, lower, upper, lower, and 4 directions, right, left, front, back, and so forth. Since this mind is not the slightest things at all, the nature of sentient beings is nirvana. So this is the quote from Shantideva. Therefore, not to have conceptions about 2 extremes, either nirvana or samsara, either self or selflessness, either existence or non-existence, that is called middle path. Not having conceptions about 2 extremes is what is called the middle path. However, the middle path itself cannot be examined because it does not hold any kind of solid belief. It does not have any kind of sides. So it is in between, it is middle, and it does not hold any kind of extreme. So therefore, it is in it is not, it does not appear. It is imperceptible because it does not hold any kind of thing. It does not hold any extremes. It does not have any kind of standpoint. Things that do not have any kind of standpoint, any kind of existence nature, then how can it appear? It does not appear. It is imperceptible. However, the middle path itself cannot be examined. In actuality, it is free from being grasped as an object. It is beyond conceptualizations. As Atisha says, furthermore, the mind of the past has ceased and perished. The mind of future is unborn and unarisen. The mind of the present is very difficult to examine because it is colorless, shapeless, like the sky. Another quote from the Ornament of Clear Realization. It is neither on this side nor on the other side, nor between the two, because it is known as being the same in all times. Same in all time meaning here emptiness nature from the beginningless time. Suchness, sometimes labeled as suchness, emptiness, suchness, ultimate nature or ultimate truth. It is acknowledged as the perfections of wisdom awareness. So this is how the realizations of middle way or the wisdom awareness is how to approach to realize the wisdom awareness, and since we have some kind of knowledge, some kind of idea through the wisdom, words of wisdom by Gampopa. Now it will make us easier to investigate, to easier to really concentrate the meaning of nature of mind, or meaning of emptiness, or nature of looking at the direct nature of our mind, and so forth. So this is how Gampopa explains here with different points, with different topics, in order to make us easier to understand the wisdom awareness, the theory of wisdom awareness, and what we need to study actually, what needs to be known. This is where our main topic is. Okay, so with this, I'll keep here for today, and we continue in next session to investigate furthermore about the reality checking of the phenomena, as the definitions of wisdom awareness is the complete and perfect discriminations of all phenomena. So we should investigate, try to understand whatever is taught by Buddha, whether it makes sense to us or not, whether they are relevant or not. So it falls on our part as a practitioner to investigate by remaining in neutral, in middle way, not having, not holding any kind of extremes, but remaining in neutral, independent middle way, and try to investigate the nature of phenomena, including yourself. So this is how we approach. Okay. Having said that, we'll keep here for today, and we'll dedicate the merits for the well-being, good health, and harmonies in the world. So nam de tamje seba nye tamne nye be danam pamje ne gega na che balao chubai sebe so le chogo nyo do sho janju semjo rembo che ma ge ba nam ge gero che ge ba nyam ba ne ba gong ne gong do be wa sho